Hello, everybody. If you're tuning into the pre-stream, I've been told that people don't mind hearing me chit-chat before the show and before the official pre-stream thing. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to kind of chat a little bit here as we wait for people to come in. Hello, Prodigal Hegelian. Ooh, that's a fun name. Of course, there's always something I forgot to do before we get this far, and today it is the text message. I forgot to write out the text message, so I got to do that for those who are not getting notifications, which is probably most of you. We have a fun story about the ongoing YouTube wars. Let's see here. Sorry, I got to focus on one thing. Let me do this. What is today's episode called? Currency of Trust. Ooh. Currency of Trust. Yeah, so if you guys are tuning in to the pre-stream right now, you should go over to Canary.party and sign up for the text message alert system, because I am writing out the text message alert right now, and it's hard to talk and do. So hold on one second. Do Canary cry.party. Here we go. Here's the real question. Producership is sort of at an emergency level today. Producership emergency. So if anybody, look, we understand it's the holiday season. It gets tough. I mean, it's always tough, and especially the way the world is right now. But goodness gracious, this is, we got some good input from those who have taken the producership survey. You can go take it right now if you haven't done it. It's in the email. It's in the newsletter for today. And, specifically, I'll say this. I would like to specifically hear from people who are not producing. We had a lot of great producers get back to me on the survey. And that's wonderful to hear from you guys. I really do want to hear from some people who do not produce. It's like my chat is not connected anymore. Okay. All right, I'm sending out the text message now, so everybody should have the text message. Okay, which means I will officially start the show. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Oh, I'm being told that my signal is a little choppy. Are you getting that, Gons, on your side? Had some strange... Yeah, Guns is telling me all the problems we're having now. Okay, let's get the show going. Head on over to Canary.party. If you wouldn't mind, it would really help us out if you tweet or Facebook or whatever social media you do. Can you go tweet out this link or retweet our tweet or something like that? That's kind of one of the things we'd love to get some consistent help on. And unfortunately, it's just part of the wars, part of the algo wars. So if you want to help us out, maybe I'll start giving shout outs again. Go ahead, retweet something, post about the show, post a link, let your friends know. All right. Other than that, folks, let's get this show started, baby. Let's go.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is November 16th, 2022. We are live to tape on episode 561. Today, currency of trust. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy Basil.
And my name is Gons, formerly of the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, director of the Age of Deceit films, who also happens to be your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, aka the Cabana Boy, live to tape from California, to serve you a podcast that brings you the best news, the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's immersion phenomena is orange bashing is back. Like the spirit of King Og of Bashan. The bashing of the orange man is quite the giant, Basil. I
don't know if it ever went away, but it's certainly time to ramp it up. That's
it's
for
time.
Sure. It worked last time, so why not, cyberbully one individual until they just can't take it anymore. That's what is not allowed. I mean, that's against. It's against YouTube's community guidelines, so of course we don't do that here. Speaking of which, let me give you a rundown for the show today, Guns. Starting with a disclaimer.
Yes, hold on. Let's get you all set up.
Are we doing the music?
Let me bring you up to speed.
That's right. For all the content moderators, censorship managers, be they robots or humans, everything you hear in this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics. Nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We simply read the news. And here's a rundown for today. Yes, the big news about the Orange Man came out yesterday. We will be exploring how this was covered in the mainstream media, as well as some, maybe there's some secret Easter eggs contained therein. Talking a little bit about, yes, you guessed it, the Orange Man himself, Trump. Gave a big announcement yesterday. We will be checking in with FLIPPY, our favorite robotic arm, and there seems to be some trouble in paradise over in FLIPPY land. We'll tell you about that. We've got some more updates from the B20 thingy, the summit. More conversations going on with the characters of global rule. Mr. Klaus Schwab showed up. We'll be digging into what he had to talk about. Then, big news, Russia, Ukraine, World War III. Are we there? Do we want to be there? Do we not want to be there? We will clarify it all through the use of mainstream corporate news reporting about it. It'll be very exciting. Then, we'll be checking in again, based on the G20, B20, whatever it's called, some updates on Libby system, but not only with the digital registration of all of our identities, but indeed another step in the one world currency digital global economic system, a big one, and we'll be giving you just some flavor to add to that conversation. And at the end, Metaverse, will it save us from climate change? You will find out. We will find out. We will all find out by the end of this show. But first, our lead stories.
We will launch a new age. I am innocent. Innocent. They're coming after me.
Yes, they
going
are.
after him. Yes.
It's politics season.
Poly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
They'll suck your blood. They'll suck
Politics.
your blood.
Big news. Everyone's talking about it, Basil. Trump announces his 2024 candidacy against the elite rulers' suggestion.
Who could have seen it coming, Gons? Who could have possibly have seen it coming?
Here he is making the announcement. And I got to say, there's like a lacking of a little bit of an oomph from Trump. There's like a kind of a somber mood.
This was one of the most talked about aspects of his entire presentation there. So we'll play some clips. We'll check in on what everybody's talking about here.
So here,
and we can add our own details.
Here he is announcing his presidency or campaign.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
real stoic face. He does smile eventually. I think he realizes that he's making.
He takes it very seriously.
Yeah.
He's he was not joking around too much.
No, not at all. He was talking about the seriousness of where they're at and everything. We do have some clips from CNN as it was happening live, and they in CNN fashion, no surprises here. Dana Bash, Anderson Cooper. Cooper actually cuts off former President Trump, and starts coming in with their own CNN commentary. And then Dana Bash says is very interesting in the context of the fact that she's a anchor and chief political correspondent over at CNN, and just people have brought it up. We'll just mention it here. She was married to Jeremy Bash, who became the CIA chief of staff and Department of Defense chief of staff under President Barack Obama. So she's fun. She's tied in. She did divorce him eventually, but maybe she didn't like the CIA life. But here she is giving her commentary about the President Trump or former President Trump announcement for 2024.
So far left, I figured they'd never speak to me and I would never speak to them. But our success was so incredible.
You've been listening to the former president announcing that he is running for president again, rewriting the history, most recently, of the midterm elections. Back with Dana Bash, Caitlin Collins, Alyssa Farah-Griffin joining us as well, CNN presidential historian Tim Naftali. Dana, any thoughts on
rewriting of history?
Well, he certainly tried to heed the warnings of those around him. Well, what they really wanted him to do was not make this announcement right now. But given the fact that he rebuffed that in terms of the content of the speech, tried to stay on policy, tried to remind people of the issues that many of the Republican supporters and some independents believed in, and stay away from the grievances. He didn't actually, talk about what went wrong in 2020. He did, no question, mislead in a very, very big way about what happened in 2022.
Well, he actually intimated that China controlled the election.
Oh, there's that too. Okay, fair point. Fair point. Thank you for that.
So there you go.
Thank you.
This is not good commentary. And it's like, I don't know if it's a recording in the background, but he was talking. So, they always have to budge in with their commentary over the actual speech.
They cut him off, Yeah, it's interesting. He kept it fairly mild. I mean, and to a degree, I listened to the whole thing. He had some moments, but for the most part, it was actually a fairly boring speech by the standards.
I was going to say the Trump standard. It was not.
Yeah. He did a couple of the classic Trump things, like I'm not supposed to call him this, and I'm not going to say it. The phrase fake news or stuff like that. So he wouldn't directly bring up all the Trumpian stuff. I think it has to do with how the midterms went. The red wave never quite came to the degree everybody thought it was going to come to, and this idea behind the sort of Trumpian Republicans versus the non-Trumpian Republicans, and it just doesn't look like the Trumpianism came through as victoriously as maybe he had hoped. So it seems like he was making this speech not for the MAGA people, but more for the sort of more straight-laced Republicans. It seemed like he was kind of like, okay, I'm going to keep it fairly mild because I don't want to freak out any, the whole Republican Party. Now, if the MAGA people had swept the field during the midterms, maybe he would have come at it at a different angle. But it seems like, he's playing it pretty safe.
I didn't hear the whole thing, but did he... What the CNN reporters here are at least saying was that, Trump implied that China had really taken control of some of the machines or whatever in the election. Again,
it was, nothing specific. It was kind of the same thing. He was talking about like our economic situation with China. I started it. Biden copied me on some of the, the tariffs and the trade war with China. Okay. Some might think that, maybe they had something to do with the election. I don't know. I'm not saying that. Some might say that. And then continued on.
Okay, so there was
a lot
sort
of the sort of
implied.
Trump, is kind of the, they love doing it, sort of putting words in Trump's mouth. Even though, yes, he probably would say that if he thought he could get away with it.
Yeah.
But he didn't quite say it to the degree they're implying.
Well, it's interesting, too, because because the red wave didn't happen, and I suppose the greater sentiment that I'm seeing out there is sort of the general trust of the elections in general. And we didn't take any steps between 2020 and 2022 to really bolster the confidence of the people that may be skeptical about how this whole thing operates. So, and not being conspiracy theorists, I'm just saying that, hey, in that regard,
to a well-known group of people,
right? So in that regard, is Trump playing from behind? Is he behind on the tech? Like, why isn't he able to? Why wasn't the red wave as big? Why wasn't it a tsunami? Why was it just a puddle?
I've been listening to a lot of analysis about this, and I really don't want to bore everybody with sort of a repeat of the analyses that I've been hearing. But it basically boils down to, Trumpian Republicans versus mainstream Republicans. They're
eating themselves alive, kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. It seems like, the Republicans in the past, especially during the Trump era, the Republicans relied on conservative-leaning independents, and it seems like the independents are a bit more split than they have been in the past. So, a lot of people blame it on the stop the steal, election denial, stuff like this. And that probably has a lot to do with it. It's just he's not as universally sort of energizing like he was in 2016.
He doesn't seem to have the galvanizing momentum that he did in 2016, where it was really,
a lot of
fed up people.
The biggest problem in 2020 was that he lost the support of the elites. He lost the support of the, even his mainstream media allies. He lost the support of, the real kingmakers of the Republican Party in 2020. And that's kind of where he's operating from. He's kind of going back to the sort of outsider position that he was in 2016, which, he kind of lost that stance as a real outsider by 2020. So some people are hoping if he returns to the outsider status of 2016, maybe he can find some success. But, that is honestly putting the cart way before the horse, because right now, his biggest issue is winning the actual Republican primary. And, although he does have his full mechanism, his campaign mechanism in place, he's already got his team, he's got his CPAC together, he's got his funding, he's got the Trump email list, he's got a lot of the things already in motion that it takes to actually run a campaign. Whereas you see like Ron DeSantis, he's kind of playing with the idea, and people are playing with the idea of a DeSantis run, but he does not have the mechanisms in place. He doesn't have a CPAC. He doesn't have his team together. His previous team that actually got him elected in his current post, a lot of them were Trump people, and those Trump people are now on Trump's team. So for instance, he doesn't have access to his previous campaign manager because why? Because she's working for Trump now. So, there's a long road ahead, and we're not necessarily like a politics sports show. So, we won't have I personally don't have much to add to the conversation, but these are kind of the things that the real politics nerds are talking about.
Who has an opinion and has to put in the last word is Dana Bash.
When you look at history, there is no precedent for this kind of candidate, this kind of candidacy, given what happened after the 2020 election. There's no precedent for it, because what we saw was a president actively undermining democracy. What we have seen since then is him continue to do that. And what we saw last Tuesday was a repudiation of that election denialism. And here he is trying to run again. There is absolutely no precedent, nor should there be.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know how consequential
good
that
analysis,
is. Again,
Dana.
yeah, there's a premise, and then just comment on whatever based on that premise. Titus Wilson on Twitter did mention this at a screenshot of a timeanddate.com, and basically outlined this theory about the last day of Trump in office being January 19th, 2021. The number of days until his announcement on November 15th is 666 days.
Whoa.
But here's the thing. And look, close enough. But, Snopes here does say, we're going to Snopes, mainstream outlet. Snopes suggests that the presidency term ends at noon on January 20th. So technically, today is the 666th day since January 20th, 2021. So,
okay,
it's a day off in the theory, but it's sort of,
it's funny.
Whatever.
That's how most of these 666 day countings go. There's usually like a day or two that you kind of gotta finagle the narrative to fit it in there.
It's close enough.
Close enough.
Yeah,
Okay, that's close enough.
And
what
Dana
is the
Bash,
suggestion that Trump is the Antichrist?
Well, there's a race for the Antichrist throne apparently. But
true.
Dana Bash did say against their wishes, I don't know who, the Republican Council or something.
Yeah, she's talking about this was another big, politics nerd talking point. A lot of people wanted Trump to wait to announce until after something. What was it? Oh, nuts. I should have written this down. I didn't know we were going to be going into it.
Nah, it's okay.
But yeah, the sort of Republican elite mechanism wanted him to wait to announce. But the problem was, in regards to any other Republican running against Trump, if anybody was going to run against Trump, they would have had to announce before Trump announced.
Right.
Because that way you can kind of pull it off, be like,
getting
no,
ahead of
I'm
it.
sorry. I didn't know he was going to run. I'm not anti-Trump. And then, because
now it's, you're saying that.
Not, as much as CNN likes to think Trump is the boss of the Republican Party, he's not, but he still holds a lot of sway.
Sure. So you're suggesting DeSantis run in 2024 is less likely because of little details like that about how Trump got in front.
It presents an obstacle for anyone else to say they're going to run.
Sure.
And that's why he was going to do it. There was speaking of Twitter, maybe I should pull it up. There was a Twitter person who is sort of known for making kind of like predictions, kind of like spookily, accurate predictions. I need to pull them up. I forgot the name, but they said that a big announcement on the 18th of November will have large ramifications for whatever, for a popular candidate or whatever. And people were noting that Trump was going to announce this today. And this was like months ago. The prediction was made.
November 18th.
That Trump was going to announce today. But yeah, so on the 18th, 3 days after Trump's announcement, perhaps, whatever, maybe he gets indicted, maybe some big thing.
November 18th
against him.
is the 322nd day of the year. So it's 322. So, the occultists have something to say about that. So real quick,
the numbers always line up like that.
I know. Well,
the
speaking of numbers, I did mention on Twitter that somebody, Jenna Ellis, I don't know who she is, somebody on Twitter, said that, the quoted President Trump or, former President Trump announcing his candidacy for 2024, and it signs off 45 and 47. 45 being, he's president number 45, and then if he gets in 2024, he'd be president number 47. If you just collapse those numbers, 4 plus 5 is 9, and 4 plus 7 is 11. So you got 9/11. There you go. Trump's presidency is 9/11. 9/11, man.
Wow. All the numbers are showing
Beware,
up.
666 and 9/11. They got all the numbers ready to go for Mr. Trump.
Yeah, well, good. Speaking of which, we got all the numbers lining up for us, Gons, because it's Wednesday.
Indeed. Where's my Wednesday? Ah, there it is. Okay, here we go. Yes.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday.
It's time for the Canary Cry News Talk. Yeehaw!
It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Ooh. Oh.
Quite the medley there. And the changing of the order, I think, affects people's brains differently if you've been...
Threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, I know. You got to stay on your toes.
I've got my cough button because as of yesterday, I was feeling pretty good. I was recovering from whatever plague that has been coming back to bite me every week or something. As of yesterday, I started having some throat scratchy symptoms again, so I'll be hitting that mute button every once in a while.
Okay.
But Gons, anything new with you?
Nothing new. I did want to quickly mention a note that we received from Courtney S. She took some pictures of some chemtrails and noticed that some of the chemtrails had shadows, and it's something that I've actually seen before, so I wanted to just address it. I don't have the note in front of me. Basically, she was saying that, hey, she was looking up and it's
weird. It looks weird.
It does look very strange when you look at it in a photo. It looks like there's a backdrop that's just like a canvas wall and then like a trail, in front of it with a shadow. Usually what happens, and I've noticed this before, I don't know the substance of what is up there. I'm often told it's just contrails, but whatever. Sure. What happens is these airplanes, they leave these trails up there, and then they start to puff out, right? So it's kind of like a straight line. It's really tight, but then the clouds or whatever is up there, it starts to puff out, and it creates sort of a swath thing. Well, if you put a new one in there, it kind of goes through the old dispersed lines, and then if it's windy, the actual line of the chemtrail or the trail of the contrail starts to move off of the original placement, and then you can see sort of where it was left and then where it's starting to move based on the wind. So I think that's what this is. It's not a shadow per se. It's just wind moving.
It is a strange illusion.
It is, yeah. It does look very bizarre.
I was looking at it, trying to figure out of what the actual layering is. Like, it looks like that new trail is in front of the clouds.
Right.
But then in some places, it kind of looks like it's behind the clouds, casting a shadow on the lower clouds, especially considering the placement of the sun. But yeah, this is more for, I think, our experts in, NASA lies and flat Earth stuff and stuff like that. I'll hand this off to them and they can help explain it to me.
Excellent. All right, that's it. That's all I had here.
Okay, right on. Well, I just have a fun story. Of course, we won our appeal with YouTube on Monday, which allowed us to be on YouTube on Monday. I woke up on Tuesday to yet another strike again from content from like 3 months ago or something. And I mean, it literally was just like one day we got out of a strike and then woke up to another one. And it was just so obvious that we are being targeted, like explicitly targeted, whether it's by algorithms who have like learned that they can always find something over at our YouTube channel or whatever. I don't know exactly what it is. But I got back in the saddle. I'm getting it's like probably about 50% of my job now is collecting the data and building a case for our YouTube appeals, which even if they are simply trying to take up more of my time so I can't spend it doing other things, they are successfully sabotaging my workday. But so Tuesday's appeal, I went through, I collected the time codes, I collected the data, sent in an appeal, went ahead and tweeted at Team YouTube again about all my thoughts on this targeting and how suspicious and provocative it is that they're harassing us with yet another strike the day after we proved that we were falsely stricken. And took 3 minutes for this appeal to go ahead and get accepted.
Wow.
So we are on YouTube again today because of maybe the quickest appeal process that has ever happened. Now, hopefully, I'm hoping that Team YouTube, twist the dials a little bit so we don't have to do this every other day.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring this up is because if it were not, I want to give a special Canary Cry News Talk trophy or award or something to two groups of producers, and that is our Clippies and our timestampers. Of course, we thank the Clippies and we thank the timestampers every single episode because what they do is very important. But if it were not for the tireless and faithful work that the Clippies and the timestampers do for this show, we would have probably been suspended from YouTube forever. This would have been like our third strike in a week. But it's only because of our ability to go back, check the time codes, hop on over to the Clips channel, watch the clips, do the thing. That is the only way that I am able to construct these successful appeals. And so today, I want to dedicate just a special thank you to our Clippies and our timestampers, specifically Emsworth, Faye Liverin, Jade Bouncerson, Christine C., Jackie U., and am I forgetting anybody?
I don't know.
If I am forgetting anybody, I will add you in next time because these producers are, I want all producers, all listeners, all producers today, remember that it is our Clippies and our timestampers who are responsible for us being on YouTube today and in the future. So thank you very much. And this is part of the value for value model. This is why value for value works, because they get value from the show. They put value back in. They put their time in. They do these jobs. And it's only because of their value that they've put back in that we are still on YouTube, which is very nice. Of course, we get encouragement all the time that we don't need YouTube and stuff like that. And that's true. We don't need them, but it does hurt us when we're not on YouTube. And so thank you to Clippies and timestampers. There you go. And hopefully we will see. I am kind of expecting to wake up to another strike tomorrow.
Well, I had that GIF playing in the background, or GIF, where the sheep that's stuck in the ditch that gets pulled out and then runs free and then hops and just falls right back into the ditch. That is our situation. This is a perfect analogy of what's happening to us with YouTube.
Yeah. And the Clippies and the timestampers, they're helping pull us out of that ditch every time. Yeah. So there you go. And speaking of the value for value model, my goodness, did we have an absolute producership emergency? Seems like a regular thing nowadays. But I sent out the alert, and thank God we've got some executive producers to thank today.
Executive producers.
That's right. We're on the value for value model, folks, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. We are entirely funded by producers, that's you, who get value out of the show, put their value back in with their time, their talent, or their treasure. But we want to thank some executive producers because these are people who carry a heavy load. They're generous with their producership, and seriously, another group of people that we could not do this show without. So I want to thank executive producer Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Pandas.
Hey, Sir Darren coming in. Thank you very much.
And Sir Darren's on a 72 episode streak, by the way.
Ooh, 72.
And Sir Darren comes in with a nice round number, which means we won't disclose the amount, but did mention in a note, we go to the moon? Maybe.
Maybe, question mark. Maybe?
You know, this was a story we need to, I don't think we put it in the show. We might have to mention it. The Artemis mission launched today.
Oh, right,
yesterday.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
So we'll mention that. And we had another executive producer.
Hold on.
Sir
Darren, Night of the Hungry Pandas.
Where'd you find this?
There we go.
Very much.
Thank you. And this next executive producer is so faithful in showing up, especially when we have an explicit producership emergency. That seems to be the call to action for this particular exec, and we want to thank them again, and that's executive producer Felicia D.
Felicia D, thank you very much. Good to see you. Yeah, it's a
nice
good,
round number.
Definitely
nice round
the
number,
emergency
no
lady.
note. Yeah, it comes in every time we have a big emergency, and we really appreciate it. There are others also that do that, but Felicia D, we've noticed, especially recently, is keeping an eye out for that producer emergency. So thank you very much, executive producer Felicia D.
Where'd you find this?
It's always concerning when I hit a button and nothing happens for a good 2 seconds or something.
It's interesting. That used to be a much bigger problem when we first switched over your board.
Yeah.
Seems like it got a little bit better, but it happens every once in a while. So there you go. These are your executive producers for the day. But don't worry, folks. If you want to produce the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure, there is still time. And it is, still in need. You can head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
And I do want to mention, I mentioned it in the meandering pre-show. If you're on our mailing list, if you get the newsletter, check your promotions tab. If you use Gmail, check your spam folder. Open that up. A couple things. Whitelist that address, or press the little star button, or right-click and say move to inbox. That really helps us not just get the newsletter to you, because right now it looks like every individual person only receives about 20% of the newsletters into their inbox, and that number can raise if our newsletter people start putting us whitelisting our address. That goes into the Gmail algorithms and helps people get the email. But you can also help us out. Specifically, I sent out a producer survey in the last email and in this email. Thank you to everyone who is responding to that. Lots of really insightful information. I would like to specifically call out, or not call out, but request to people who do not produce the show. If I'm not saying you don't like the system, just for whatever reason, you're unable to produce the show, or maybe don't want to, I don't know, it's all good. I would like to hear from people who do not make a regular practice of producing the show in that survey, because that's going to help us figure out what isn't appealing to people, what might be wrong with the system that isn't, being so attractive. Do specifically want to hear from people who do not produce the show. And so you can find that in the in the email that's in your newsletter, probably in your promotions tab. I will also go ahead and share the URL in the chat for anybody who watches live. But that would just be helpful. The survey is literally only 5 questions long. It's very short. And depending on how you answer one of the questions, it could be like 2 questions long. And there's an option to send us a voicemail response to your survey. So all sorts of fun stuff, lots of easy ways to let us know. Very short, very low commitment, and it's really helpful to us as we continue to adapt to evolving economic situations in the world. Other than that, thank you to all our producers. Head on over to canarycryradio.com/support, and I think we're ready to be on with the show.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right. It's time for the Flippy Update. You know him, you love him. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new and fun and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world, and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from Yahoo.com. It is being mirrored from Gizmodo. And Gons, there's trouble in paradise, my friend, because the headline reads, MIT's Boston Dynamics is suing Ghost Robotics over robot dog plagiarism.
Ooh, robot dog. One robot dog copied off another robot dog? Is that what's happening?
Robo plagiarism, Gons. It's a problem that's sweeping the nation. You know, it used to be plagiarism was a crime only to be committed by college students or high schoolers or, you know, students who are on average being suspected of foul play by their teachers or whatever. But no longer. Now the robots are going after each other. So let's see what it has to say. That's right. Boston Dynamics is suing Ghost Robotics over robot dog plagiarism. And it goes like this. Boston Dynamics wants to ensure its place in the creepy robot dog market. The tech company has filed a complaint against Philadelphia-based Ghost Robotics, claiming that the latter has infringed on Boston Dynamics' patents.
Are you
Yeah, no,
distracted?
excuse me
What's
for a
going on?
moment. Yeah, I had a complete breakdown of my browser, but I'm back now. The complaint, which was obtained and reported on by the Register, alleges that Ghost Robotics copied Boston Dynamics' shtick of a semi-autonomous robot dog.
Good reporting, Gizmodo. They took the shtick.
You know, of course, we've seen patents, complaints, and copyrights and things like this. But no, apparently, if you just take somebody's shtick, then you can sue them for it. With their Vision 60 and Spirit 40, a dog that resembles Boston Dynamics' Spot. Boston Dynamics points out in the 110-page complaint that the way Vision 60 and Spirit 40 collect site information, process environmental data, and even climb stairs could be an infringement of several patents. The MIT spinoff has gotten approved since its founding in 1992. The patented climbing stairs, Gons.
In 92, Boston Dynamics seemingly holding a monopoly in the robot dog space, huh?
Seems like that's what they're going for. Boston Dynamics is also demanding a jury trial. Oh, wow. And this is an interesting aspect of it, because you can demand a jury trial, but usually with cases like this, you know, it never makes it to a jury trial.
Yeah, interesting.
But it seems Boston Dynamics, who is infamous for making marketing material, videos with their robots. Every time, robots or robot dogs start trending on Twitter, it's almost always a video of Boston Dynamics that they released with their robots doing jumping jacks or a dance routine or something. Usually, the mass media obsession with robots comes directly from the Boston Dynamics media department. And I think that that's why they're demanding a jury trial, because they may not have what it takes to win the case just with a judge, but
they need
I think they know.
Yeah, they need the public rah-rah. Like, hey, yeah, we love these dancing robots. Exactly. We're the Ghost Robotics trying to steal from the dancing robot people that created the fun robots.
And on top of that, they're first to market, so they're the first ones that come to mind when a regular person thinks of a robot dog. They spend, a lot of time and energy and resources on marketing. So turning this into a jury trial, putting it up to a jury of their peers really works in their benefit, and I think goes to show exactly the game plan that we've been pointing out, where it's, the robot dogs, it's not necessarily, or robots in general, it's not necessarily just about making a good robot. It's about engineering the public's perception of your robots in order to have them change their idea about robots, have them gear their lives, structure their lives in response to the robot's existence. Part of the FLIPPY update forever has been the social engineering aspect of these robots, and I think this case in particular shows that Boston Dynamics knows that they have some sort of grapple on the public's mind when it comes to the robots.
Yeah, so it goes back to the title of this episode, which will ring throughout all the stories today, but currency of trust. They need the public trust,
Exactly.
Not like a trust like a financial thing, but more of a, ambiguous rally of the social sphere, I guess. So yes, the social engineering aspect of it, and DARPA behind it, so they have all the levers. So Ghost Robotics, if they really want to fight this thing, it's one of those issues where it's like, you can try, but we will suck you dry of all your resources. You'll be spending all your money on legal battles, and we are DARPA, and we
have the government behind them.
Yeah, we have the abyss of just ever funding type of thing. Yeah. So you can try, but you'll lose either way. I don't know.
Yep.
This is
I think this was a very poignant signal to the trends that we've been pointing out with the FLIPPY update for years. So there you go. A nice ding ding for this show and the listeners and producers of this show ahead of the game once again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
There you
That's
go.
your FLIPPY update for the day.
Fantastic. This is a good one. And I wish we had more time to actually spend
Short but sweet.
Yeah, short but sweet. Okay. We got some great reset news here.
We need a great reset.
A new world order. New world order. New world order. Build back better. Build back better. Build back better. We will build Babylon better. This time, a new world order.
Klaus speaks. Klaus says we need restructuring. Let's hear the clip. Yeah, it's that word really triggers me, but I'll explain why.
Restructuring.
Yeah, in a second.
Well, reset. We can't say reset.
Yeah, he's overextended his use of the word reset. It's all tarnished now because
and we have tracked the trend over the years since the Great Reset was deemed a conspiracy theory. They've tried a lot of different words. The Great Reshuffle, the Great I don't know. There's a bunch of different ones.
Yeah, it's not always great. There's the Build Back Better. There's all kinds of iterations of it, even the New World Order. But here he is talking about restructuring.
Of course. If we look at all the challenges, we can speak about the multi-crisis. Economic, a political, a social, an ecological, an institutional crisis. But actually, what we have to confront is a deep, systemic, and structural restructuring of our world. Mm-hmm. And this will take some time. And the world will look differently after we have gone through this transition process.
Very matter of fact about how we are going through this transition process. We are restructuring. And, this is a little personal, but I'll just, spin it into the whole commentary here. I had some money, crypto, on Celsius, the platform, which did freeze all withdrawals and go into bankruptcy, Chapter 11 bankruptcy. All these crypto companies are going into Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which is different from Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Chapter 7 is when they take all your assets and they just liquidate and they say, okay, it's over. Chapter 11 is called restructuring.
You're right.
So it's almost like Klaus Schwab is saying, look, we need a systemic, we are systemically bankrupt. We need to do a Chapter 11 bankruptcy. We need a restructuring of the entire thing. And it's like, oh, okay. And it's been in the works for a while. It's not like it's already, the effects of it we are starting to see now only because they've been at this for so many years. And I think they're feeling rushed because so many people are learning about all this and there is a pushback, but also, that can also be part of the psyop of creating a movement against it, which leads me to the Epoch Times, which
we need to add the special disclaimer on.
We definitely do, because we've, for some reason, we had tried to avoid the Epoch Times as a source of mainstream news reporting because
mostly for confirmation bias
right,
reasons.
Right. It's very leaning towards one side. So, but I was surprised to see that on the Harvard media index, the U.S. media index that we often reference.
For those who need to know, or maybe you don't know, we love to examine the funding, the ownership, the background of all these news media organizations, because as important as a message itself is the medium in which the message is delivered and the source
the financial
of the message.
Backing. Yeah. Follow the money.
What is the funding of these different outlets? We do it for almost every outlet we cover. And I was surprised, Gons, when you told me that Epoch Times is actually listed on the Harvard on the Harvard document.
Not only is it listed, it's number 51, which is quite high. It's top 100.
That's interesting.
Here's what it says. Unclear funding. Founded in 2000 by John Tang, an Atlanta-based follower of the Chinese spiritual movement Falun Gong.
Yeah.
Epoch Times is funded by Falun Gong, a religious group that has been called a doomsday cult.
Oh.
Yeah. It's in there. It's written in the Harvard.
A lot of religious groups have been called doomsday cults. Now this, I was thinking when you mentioned it, my mind went directly to the Moonies, but how do you spell Falun Gong?
Falun, second word, Gong, Gong. And there's a little bit more here. The Epoch Times in the U.S. is a pro-Trump nonprofit news outlet owned by members of Falun Gong, a religious group started by a fervently anti-communist Chinese, now American, Li Hongzhi, who is its spiritual leader that, quote, believes in a coming judgment day that will send communists to hell and says Trump is helping accelerate that timeline.
Wow.
This is all in the Harvard.edu media list. It's quite the it goes into just the anti homosexuality and feminism and all that kind of stuff.
Politically engaged religious group. Here's a quick Wikipedia. This is Falun Gong or Falun Dafa, a different name for it, means law wheel practice or Dharma wheel, is a new religion founded in China in the early 1990s. That is crazy.
That is pretty recent.
It was founded by Li Hongzhi toward the end of China's Gaigong boom, a period that saw a proliferation of similar practices of meditation, slow-moving energy exercises, and regulated breathing. Falun Gong has its global headquarters in Dragon Springs, a 400-acre compound. Hey, they have a compound.
Hey.
Around Quebecville in Deer Park, New York. Falun Gong's dance troupe.
They have a dance troupe.
Yeah.
That's what we should have. We should get a Canary Cry
We got to get the Canary Cry dance group.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of very... Oh, yeah, it says here right on the Wikipedia, Falun Gong extensions include the Epoch Times.
Yeah. So here's the other thing that's strange on a personal note. I received a physical paper, Epoch Times, on my front door. And I didn't sign up for it.
A meat space paper.
Yeah, like an old fashioned newspaper, with the whole recycled looking paper. And my wife hands it to me and she goes, Did you do that? And I'm like, no, I didn't sign up for it. I don't know how it got to my house, but I guess they're on to me. The Chinese spiritualists are on to me, I guess. Somehow they found out. But so
that's interesting. Yeah. So it is basically Chinese New Age spiritualism. It funds and is behind the Epoch Times.
But think about it. It's anti-communist China, right? It's if you think about this anti-communist China, but kind of a new agey thing, it's almost like it's Q, but it's more open. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's got sort of a taste of Q to it, doesn't it?
Okay, so given that context, the Epoch Times was the top search result for this topic of, hey, who's reporting on Klaus Schwab talking about restructuring? Epoch Times comes in number one out of all of them. Here's what the article says. I have stuff highlighted
which says two things. Number one, that Epoch Times is covering it, but the other thing is that it seems like there's not a new there's not a mainstream pushback yet. It's like, again, they're a little bit behind on trying to push back against the Great Reset talk.
Right. Okay, so here's the headline from Epoch Times. Klaus Schwab wants to structurally restructure the world despite extensive social tensions. At the B20 meeting in Indonesia, Klaus Schwab, founder of the WEF, put forward the proposal to restructure the world. The B20 is the official G20 dialogue forum with the international business community. During a business restructuring, some costs will be written off and shareholders will suffer, the WEF had said. In the same way, the restructuring of an economy will result in, quote, a reduction of disposable income, which could lead to extensive social tensions, he admitted. Schwab also talked about the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which foresees significant changes to society and industries from rising interconnectivity and automation. During the Fourth Industrial Revolution, advanced technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, gene editing, and so on are expected to blur the boundaries among the biological, physical, and digital worlds. Wow, they're summarizing a decade's worth of our work there. But you're welcome, Epoch Times. Quote, governments and businesses have to cooperate in order to become a fast fish, because in our world of today, it's not anymore so much about a big fish who eats the small fish, but it is a fast fish who eats the slow fish.
Ooh,
what? I like the analogy, Basil. How do we become a fast fish in this,
Gotta be a
race?
Fast fish, even if the fast fish is littler than the slow fish.
And get this, Klaus Schwab is kind of waving the checkered flag, because he says the groups that move first to adopt the Fourth Industrial Revolution will automatically win the race. The winners will, quote, take it all. It's almost like, okay, ready, set, go. Yeah. Here we go. Restructure.
Yeah.
Begin.
Comply sooner rather than later.
Right. Yeah.
If you comply sooner, you'll be a winner. If you wait, you're going to lose your chance.
Now, I'm not going to read the rest other than the sentence here, because it goes into the WEF agenda. And it says here, the WEF is a network of major multinational businesses that cooperates with the Chinese Communist Party. And it goes into UN 2030 and all the different things that we've covered over the years. But, and the Great Reset, et cetera, et cetera. But it's interesting because we know who's behind the Epoch Times. They put that little thing in there about how, the World Economic Forum is bad because they work with the CCP, which, not a whole lot of outlets openly state, but that's kind of their MO. So it's interesting that that's weaved into this whole anti-WEF sentiment. And so I've seen the Epoch Times a lot being, shared around and carried around. It's just something to pay attention to, because it does confirm a lot of biases in our niche or side of the thing, so
that's why I've seen a lot of people love the Epoch Times. I think to a degree, it has a certain amount of credibility for just how long it's been doing what it's doing. Its size, it certainly has done well by a lot of the narratives that are usually suppressed. However, like always, we are here to actually analyze and deconstruct the news. And so you got to know who it's coming from, what they support, what their history is, and what their MO might be for reporting a certain topic. So there you go. Just a little background on the Epoch Times. And does make it complicated, makes it a complicated practice to take in info from a variety of different sources. And, a lot of people love the Epoch Times. We get sent tons of Epoch Times stuff. But you can't take it for granted, I guess, is the message to take from that.
Yeah. They're trying to buy your trust. Currency of trust.
Well,
okay.
As everybody is.
Yeah, of course. All right. So, there you go. That's, something to keep an eye on, and it's twofold story there. Of course, the actual mentioning of Klaus Schwab talking, and that's always something of a concern. But there's nothing new really that he said there. It's just kind of the same old stuff. Sure. Maybe some new terminology, but otherwise,
a basic Klaus Schwab presentation.
Right. And meanwhile, so moving on, we have some other things going on.
Russia.
Fight for Ukraine. New world order.
Yeah, big one today, Guns. Big one. This happened yesterday, right? But I know this is part of when people say, like, we want more CCNT, do one every day, and that sounds just simply impossible. I mean, there is a level of producership that would make that possible, but we're certainly not there yet. But this is one of the reasons why we would even consider doing a show a day, because the importance of these stories unfolding on non-show days. This is coming from Sky News, news.sky.com, and the headline is Russian missile kills 2 people in NATO member Poland, U.S. intelligence official says.
Whoa,
so,
okay.
Yeah, that's a big deal because, right off the bat, reading that headline, that Russian offensives in actual NATO territory could require a response leading to World War III.
Article 5, World War III.
Yeah. So this came out today. Let's see what they got to say. A Russian missile has killed 2 people in NATO member Poland. A senior U.S. intelligence official has told the AP news agency. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, don't know how to pronounce that, sorry, called an urgent meeting to discuss national security. The Polish Foreign Ministry later said that a Russian-produced rocket fell on the village of Przewadało at 3:40 p.m. What's that?
Przewadało.
Is that the official pronunciation?
I don't know. I'm just taking a stab. I'm taking a stab.
Okay,
I like the way it looks.
Okay, let's take turns here. Przewadało at 3:40 p.m. local time near the border with Ukraine. Notice how the foreign Polish ministry said that a Russian-produced rocket. Mm-hmm. And as we know, with lots of military equipment, a lot of things are produced in Russia. It doesn't quite mean it came from Russia, but let's keep going. The ministry added that it has summoned the Russian ambassador. We summon you. Moscow has denied any involvement. Mr. Morawiecki said he was calling on all Poles to remain calm and airspace monitoring was being stepped up. Poland is raising the readiness of its military units, government spokesman Piotr Mueller said. He also confirmed there had been an explosion that killed 2 Polish citizens. An explosion. Polish President Andrzej Duda later said it was, quote, very likely, end quote, that his country would trigger NATO's Article 4 during a meeting of the alliance's 30 member states on Wednesday.
We want Article 5. We want war. We want war. Yeah, Article 4 nonsense. Enough chit-chat.
Well, Article 4, under Article 4, the article says here, under Article 4, members can raise a security issue and ask for it to be discussed. So Article 4...
Let's talk about it. Let's just have a chat.
Well, so Article 4 is how you get to Article 5. You discuss things in Article 4, and you decide whether to activate Article 5, which is all NATO countries going to defend, NATO territory. That Article 5 is World War III. Article 4 is when you talk about World War III. Mr. Duda added there was no definitive evidence of who had fired the rocket, describing it as a one-off incident with no indication it would be repeated. He said it was most probably Russian-made, but that is still being verified.
I like how even within this article, it starts to sort of lose the plot.
That's the fun deconstruction of this article. Is it starts out with Russia has attacked NATO and Russian World War III is on the horizon, and then the longer you read, it's but the president said the president himself said there's no definitive evidence that it was actually Russian launched. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said a strike on NATO territory was a significant escalation and action was needed. A man of action, this Zelensky,
Right.
He's always ready to pull the trigger. He's got a hairpin trigger on World War III. Mr. Duda has spoken to U.S. President Joe Biden, Mr. Zelensky, and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Mr. Sunak, he's getting in the action now.
Sunak was one of the Stanford people because there's been a lot of Stanford folks in the news recently.
He's
one of them.
Yeah, Stanford's taken over the world.
Yeah.
And finance bro, who's now in charge of figuring out if we go to World War III or not. Mr. Sunak said he had, quote, reiterated the UK solidarity with Poland. British Foreign Secretary James Cleverly said he was in contact with Polish counterparts and NATO allies. The president of the European Council, Charles Michel, said he was proposing that EU leaders attending the G20 summit in Bali hold a coordination meeting on Wednesday. So, all the world leaders, they're all in Bali.
Yeah, they're all
right
there
now.
anyway. Bust out some Article 4 chat.
The European Council, president of the European Council is saying, hey, why don't you get a nice little side meeting going on over there? Quote, we stand with Poland, Mr. Mitchell said. U.S. Pentagon spokesman Brigadier General Patrick Ryder said America would, quote, defend every inch of NATO territory, but added that he had, quote, no information to corroborate press reports of the alleged Russian attack.
The Pentagon spokesman has no info? Okay.
Yes. Last I heard, there were investigators, U.S. investigators, heading over early this morning to go check it out. But we have some other outlets to check into. Was there anything in particular in the rest of the Sky article you wanted to go into?
No. It really is that the headline itself is Russian missile kills 2 people in NATO member Poland. Right. And then comparing it to CNBC's report, NATO chief says Poland blast likely caused by Ukrainian missile, but not Ukraine's fault. Little different.
Yeah, sorry, you blacked out a little bit for me there.
Okay, well, let me just repeat the headline.
NATO chief, I got it, you got it, everybody else got it. NATO chief says Poland blast likely caused by Ukrainian missile, but not Ukraine's fault. Oh, okay. Well, the story is changing a little bit here, Gons.
Yeah, it says here, NATO said there was no indication that the missile strike that hit a Polish border village on Tuesday night was deliberate, saying that Russia was ultimately to blame as it continues to bombard Ukraine with missiles. The Military Alliance's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said the missile incident took place, quote, as Russia launched a massive wave of rocket attacks across Ukraine.
So it happened at the same time.
Okay. That's suspicious. While the investigation was ongoing into the incident, he said, quote, there was no indication that this was the result of a deliberate attack, end quote, and no indication it was a result of, quote, offensive military actions against NATO, end quote.
So interesting. They're still calling it like a Russian missile in this case. Now we're kind of leaning on, well, it could have been an accidental Russian missile.
Yeah. Preliminary analysis, as previously reported, suggests the incident was caused by a Ukrainian air defense missile fired to, quote, defend Ukrainian territory against Russian cruise missile attacks.
Oopsie daisies.
Okay, so it was Ukrainian missiles that killed a couple people from Poland, and they were trying to say it was Russian.
Oopsie daisies.
Yikes.
Right.
Yikes.
So now it's a Ukrainian missile. Which, by the way, much of their missiles have been, are left over from their Russian stockpile. So it could have been a sort of anti-missile that, launched by a Ukrainian in the direction of Poland. Totally not a purposeful provocation. We are so dearly praying that is the case. And it goes on, quote, let me be clear. This is like Biden or Obama. Let me be clear. This is not Ukraine's fault. Russia bears ultimate responsibility as it continues its illegal war against Ukraine. So even if it was Ukraine that fired the missile that blew up in Poland, we can still blame it on Russia.
Yeah, there's a couple points I was going to make, but it fell out of the brain there. I don't know what I was going to say. It's pretty fun. Yeah, I know. I forget what it was. It's okay. I guess it wasn't terribly important.
Well, it'll come back to you because Reuters here has a headline that says, Biden said Ukraine air defense missile responsible for Poland blast, says a NATO source. So Biden himself is saying that it was a Ukrainian missile that blew up on NATO territory.
I remember now. Sorry.
Okay, what is it?
It was basically this could be some kind of internal Ukrainian plot to ask the United States for a more robust laser defense system, because China just came out with their laser military, their Iron Beam thing, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe Ukraine, Zelensky's looking at that going, hey, man, why don't we have an Iron Beam laser thing? Why do we got all these missiles? Well, maybe we can. That's a
little bit more specific. Yeah, that's interesting. I was, of course, we would never suggest.
No, I'm not suggesting anything.
I'm just have a purposeful false flag to get more support from NATO countries and get the world into World War III. That would just be unpatriotic for us to say. But an accidental Ukrainian missile landing in NATO territory, launched in the opposite direction of where it should have been launched, is a good case. Is a good case for getting some more high-end
lasers. Yeah, no collateral damage with lasers unless whatever you're burning in the sky falls in civilian territory.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just stepping back and looking at the bigger picture here, and because look, the United States is the military dealer. So if you show them what you need, they can maybe help you.
It is. And it says right here in the Reuters article, Ukraine blamed Russia. Russia denied its missiles. And that's the part why you need to read 3 different sources, 3 different outlets, 3 different reporters, 3 sets of information, and see how they're being
very different.
Because Reuters right there in the 3rd stanza says Ukraine blamed Russia. Well, if it was a Ukrainian missile that landed in Poland and Ukraine is blaming it on Russia, we do need to be somebody. I'm not even saying it's me. I'm not saying it's us, but somebody needs to be asking Ukraine why that happened, and then why did they immediately turn around and blame Russia if they knew? Maybe they didn't know. Who knows? Maybe they didn't know that it was their own. Maybe they really thought it was Russia. Who knows? But just another list of this very strange series of events, strange communication from Ukraine. And it ends, NATO ambassadors were scheduled to hold emergency meeting at 1000 CET. How do you say that? This is military time. 1000? I don't know.
1000.
0900 GMT.
There you go.
To respond to the explosion at a grain dryer near the Ukrainian border. And this is the weird one. This is the first time anybody is reporting that the explosion was at a grain dryer near the Ukrainian border, which occurred while Russia was firing scores of missiles at cities across Ukraine. And it's just a weird little detail because of the grain drama.
Yeah, the food, the food shortage thing.
Yeah, kind of been keeping up with the grain drama, but not really. It's kind of been a weird B plot for the past couple of weeks. But the fact that it is a grain dryer is just a weird aspect to it. So, anyways.
Yep.
With that, should we take a second, have a party?
Yeah, we need to move through because we are really far behind.
Let's go. We're not that behind.
No, we're behind.
Okay.
We're behind.
Okay, hit the button.
It's so bad. Go to canarycry.party. It's a URL where you can find all the links to everything we do, from where to listen to the show, watch the show, how to produce the show, connect with us in the community.
Gotta remember, Gons, we've been told by the producers that they don't like it when we talk about how late we are. We just gotta keep moving. Anyways, go to canarycry.party. Lots of great stuff for you there. Sign up for the text message alert system. You can also text the word canary to 877-740-3226 to get our text message alerts. You can find links to all the different places to watch or listen to the show. You can find Ravel, which is a podcast I do with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates. We have a very special Thanksgiving episode coming out this week, which I think you're going to love. Let's see, what else do we got here? You can find links to the Canary Cry mixtape, the digital version. If you don't have your cassette tape version, you can get the streaming version of that. Just all sorts of wonderful stuff. Get connected to the community. Really you could spend a whole day exploring all the resources available at canarycry.party. So go check it out. And there you can also find buttons and links to do things like sign up for the supply drop and or produce the show.
Okay.
So let's hit that button and thank some producers.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Oops.
That's right. We're just going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere because we got much more show coming up soon. But we're going to thank some producers of the show because we're on the value for value model, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever, not from advertisers, no affiliate codes, no platform partnerships. We are barely hanging on, folks, with those platforms. They do not like us, nor do they want to partner with us. But the fact of the matter is, with zero corporate money keeping this show going, it is a testament to the power of the people, because we're on the value for value model, meaning if you get value out of this show, it's an opportunity to join the revolution against corporate money controlling independent media, and B, voting with your dollars, with your time, with your talent, whatever value you have to bring to the show. We're only able to do the show in this form and this often with this message because of producers like you joining the cause. And like I mentioned, your time, your talent, or your treasure. Again, big shout out to the Clippies and the time stampers, because their work, their tireless work adding value back to the show has expressed itself, has manifested in the fact that we've had 3 successful appeals on YouTube suspensions this week. It's only possible because of them. But the show, each individual episode is literally only made possible by listeners of the show getting value, understanding that they have a responsibility to participate in the value for value model. So we're going to thank some producers who came in for today's episode. Are you ready, Gons?
Yep.
Okay. We have no new supply drop producers, so nobody to thank there, but I do want to mention one Mo Gann. We are actually going to be setting some goals and being transparent about what hitting these goals will allow the show to do. It does occur to me, and I have learned from the producer survey, which I hope everybody goes and takes. I'll repost the link to that. But through the producer survey, we've learned certain things about what producers might find value in hearing about, which is, Gons, you and I, we do have certain goals that are sort of, dependent on if producership hits a certain level, if this, then that, that are directly connected with some plans for the future. And it occurs to us that we haven't shared a whole ton of those. So that's going to be hopefully something that we are able to get put out into the producer sphere soon. Because I think that's valuable. I think that was really good feedback. I just popped the link back in there. Even if you are not a producer, specifically, if you have never produced the show or rarely produced the show, I want to hear from you in that producer survey. So please help us out with that. But we do have some producers to thank. We thanked our executive producers at the top of the show. That was executive producer Sir Darren Knight of the Hungry Pandas and executive producer Felicia D. And we got a few more people to thank. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, starting with producer Joey Draw M. Joey Draw M. Yeah, comes in with a nice round number and says, "Hey guys, Joey Draw M here. I'm on my media missions trip to Japan."
Hey,
this was the
right.
fella.
Yes.
I was unaware that it was happening so soon, but okay, he's in Japan on the media mission trip. Thank you for your prayers. God has provided a way for me to come and to capture many stories while here. Please pray my heart would be turned towards Christ at all times. God bless. Well, God bless you, producer Joey Draw M. Good luck in Japan. And you know what? He did send us an email with a bunch more information about what he's doing on his trip and stuff like that. And we need to revisit that and see what he's doing, because we want to support all our producers who are doing cool stuff. Yeah. So, next up, we've got producer Morv, Sir Morv, now to the Burning Chariots.
Thank you, Sir Morv.
Comes in with his classic 1111. And he's on the 166th episode streak. Next up, we've got Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer and Lady of X's and O's on a 196 episode streak.
Women rule.
Thank you, Dame Gale.
Came in with $7.77. Thank you. And a note here, Buenos dias, mi chicos magnifico. I just want to remind our Canarian family to pray for Runk Smash's brother Dave and their family as they anticipate Dave's upcoming surgery during the holidays. You are loved, my brother Runk Smash. X's and O's. Okay, let's hit the producers.
Producers, assemble!
That's right. Who are the producers? They're all of you. These are people who are committed to praying for the show, for the producers of the show, for situations that come up during the show. And in this case, we're putting it on the list. We're stopping. We're praying right now for Runk Smash's brother Dave, who's been battling cancer. I believe it was colon cancer, if I remember, and is going into surgery. They tried radiation, and it didn't quite do the job. So he's got upcoming surgery here during the holidays. So a really rough time for Runk Smash and the family, but we want to do everything we can to support them, and praying for a good outcome and peace and comfort and strength and healing is always a great way to start. So thank you, Runk Smash. Thank you, Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer, and Lady of X's and O's.
Yep, absolutely.
Next, we've got producer Tammy C.
Tammy C, thank you.
Yeah, Tammy C comes in with a nice round number. We appreciate the support, Tammy C. Let's see. We've got Sir Alex Protocol V2, Knight of the Berean Protocol, pocket full of sevens on a 101 episode streak.
Oh, yeah! Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sir Alex Protocol.
Mm-hmm. Alex Protocol. He's the producer bot, baby. I see here we got producer Malik W. just coming in. Nice round number. Thank you.
Thank you.
Producer Malik. We've got producer Viken 777 coming in with 777. Yeah. And a note here, sending peace, love, and a sound mind blessing. Remember, predestination is for everlasting life and not just for Christmas. Shalom. Christmas. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Viken 777. Let's see here. Double checking, double checked. Okay, I believe that concludes our list of producers who came in the amount of 777 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. But we got a few more people who came in under that amount, and we are going to thank them now and follow that up with a jingle extravaganza. Starting with Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 232 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
We got the Streak Sister, Veronica D, 196 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Veronica D.
We got Sir Scott Knight of Truth, 221 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
We got Runk Smash, 17 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Runk Smash.
Indeed.
Oh yeah, Streakalicious.
Streakalicious. I think that concludes our list of financial producers for this episode. Thank you all so much. And remember, you can support the show by going to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
You good?
Thank you for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
It's a wake up time.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
And it's quasi-COVID.
It's Corona time. COVID-19. vaccine. I am vaccine. Vaccine, number one way.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
Thank you to Eyes to See for Me for sending us this clip here. We have a clip of going back to the B20. This is Budi Gunadi Sadikin, who is the health minister of Indonesia. And he's talking about digital IDs. Now, Basil, you and I got in trouble, and many others out there got in trouble for suggesting that the world is trying to create some kind of, totalitarian system where you have to show proof of vaccine or proof of test to move around. And it's a very mark of the beast-ish type of thing.
Vaccine passports, digital IDs, things like this. Yeah. Yes.
And we were scolded, canceled, deleted off YouTube for saying such things. But, we don't have to be the ones to be calling this out now, because Budi Gunadi Sadikin of Indonesia, health minister, said this.
Let's have a digital health certificate acknowledged by WHO if you have been vaccinated or tested properly, then you can move around. So for the next pandemic, instead of stopping the movement of the people 100%, which clogged the economy globally, you can still provide some movement of the people. G20 country has agreed to have this digital certificate using WHO standard, and we will submit into the next World Health Assembly in Geneva as the revision to international health regulation. So hopefully for the next pandemic, we can still see some movement of the people, some movement of the goods, and movement of the economy.
So matter of fact,
Right.
just next pandemic.
Well, this next pandemic comment we've heard from all sorts of leading figures. Of course, you got the Fauci, the Bill Gates, the Biden. Everybody's talking about the next pandemic. And of course, there's a couple ways to take that. But the response to the next pandemic comment from those who are in the response business is that, yes, we're just pretty much guaranteed to have another pandemic, to which we would say we agree. Mm-hmm. We totally agree that there is guaranteed to be another pandemic. Now, just to reiterate the context of this phrase, this is at the G20, where all the world leaders are currently getting together, having a big meeting. So this is not, taken out of context. This is not taken from, a meeting from 2017 or something like that. This is what they are talking about right now. And right now, they are talking about putting digital ID, putting your records on a international database, so that when the next pandemic comes, it's specifically in the context of, we'll kind of know who to shut down, who not to shut down. It's so we can keep the economy moving. So your participation in the digital ID health stuff is, of course, we don't have to shut down. We can keep the economy moving, which I think is a very convenient set of circumstances for people at the G20.
Well, considering the last alleged worldwide pandemic was in 1918, and it was nearly 100 years for the next one, is he talking about in 2120?
Yeah, 2121, baby.
2121, some big outbreak, or is he saying, hey, they got one, hey, we know about that next one, supposed to happen, 2029
well, that's
or something
the question, isn't it? Of course, they're just, their reasoning would be that it's just guaranteed to happen. Mm-hmm. For not that it's planned, but we should plan for it.
Sure. It would be just kind of a one-off. Yeah, all right, there's stuff happening, whatnot, of course, preparing for potential disasters, but it's really the actions of other parts of the world, specifically the economy, the restructuring that Klaus talked about, which is taking place as we speak. It's been happening for a while, but it's accelerated. And it's in the monetary structures.
Is this a crypto? Crypto? Do I look like I know what a crypto is?
Yeah, we got Reuters.com here. Headline, banking giant and New York Fed start 12-week digital dollar pilot.
Oh,
It's happening. And the timing of it is very interesting. We got the FTX debacle. Crypto is all smashed up. A great time to launch a CBDC. Global banking giants are starting a 12-week. Global banking giants are starting a 12-week digital dollar pilot with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the participants announced on Tuesday. Citigroup Inc., HSBC Holdings, MasterCard, and Wells Fargo are among the financial companies participating in the experiment alongside the New York Fed's Innovation Center, they said in a statement. The project, which is called the Regulated Liability Network, will be conducted in a test environment and use simulated data, the New York Fed said. Now, something to point out in that sentence. The project, which is called the Regulated Liability Network. Normally, when you have the title of something, it's all, it's capital letters starting the words, right? There's like an acronym usually. But in this occasion, it says, which is called the Regulated Liability Network. Regulated Liability Network is not capitalized. It just looks like a bunch of words, strung together, which is interesting.
Okay.
And the other part, they're going to use simulated data. Where are they getting the simulated data? It's almost like they're doing the sentient world simulation that we talked about back in 2012, and maybe our first or second or first handful of episodes of Canary Cry Radio. So, this is happening. No surprises. It's part of the move towards CBDCs, but that's not all, Basil. I really don't think this is the big one. I think this other thing is the true CBDC test. It's hard to say. And this is from Investopia.com, and the headline is Crypto Payments with USDC now on Apple Pay. Now, USDC is a Ethereum-based US dollar stablecoin, a crypto, but it's 1-to-1 to the US dollar. Okay, so it's issued by a company called Circle. Circle, the issuer of the USDC stablecoin, added support for Apple Pay to help to boost the use of the coin by allowing crypto businesses to accept the payment method, building the future of commerce. USDC issuer Circle introduced payments for Apple Pay, blah, blah, blah. A move it expects to help build the future of commerce by boosting businesses' sales and making payments faster, easier, and more secure, according to the announcement. The strategic partnership between crypto behemoth Circle and tech giant Apple will allow payment via Apple's Safari browser or in apps using iPhone, Apple Watch, iPad, and other supported devices. Hence, customers will no longer have to create an account or fill out lengthy forms. And it goes into more detail. But this is big. I think it's bigger than people realize because this is an actual implementation, whereas the other thing is more of like a test from the Fed, the Federal Reserve, sort of doing a simulation. This is like, oh no, we're integrating. People can start using.
It's a live test right now.
Yeah, and I think what worries me with I guess the crypto markets are all down anyway. But what worries me is that there is another big stable coin. There's two big ones: USDT Tether and USDC. USDC obviously Circle. If we look at the history of Circle, just real briefly, it's a peer-to-peer payments technology company founded by Jeremy Allaire and Sean Neville in October of 2013. They have a $55 billion of worth of USDC circulating as of August 2022. The company received $135 million in venture capital from 4 rounds of investment between 2013 and 2016, including a $50 million investment led by Goldman Sachs. Oops, where's my bell? There's my bell. Yeah, so this is Goldman Sachs coming into the crypto world via Apple Pay and using their stablecoin USDC, which is an Ethereum-based stablecoin. Very interesting. I think this is bigger than people realize. This is truly, I think they're preparing USDC to be the CBDC winner in the United States. I know it's a lot of letters and it can be confusing, but it's more or less what I think is going on here in terms of where this is all headed. What do you think, Basil? Do you think this,
well, and I think the timing is incredible.
Oh, again, it's amazing.
Not just with the FTX debacle, but having banking giants, and the New York Federal Reserve start their 12-week digital dollar pilot that is integrating, the digital dollar, perhaps even CBDC, into not just being able to buy your Frappuccino, but banks using it, trading it between each other, putting in the infrastructure. So you have very high level economic placement for digital dollar. At the same time, you have the consumer level, the USDC put on Apple Pay, where every Apple user can now use stable coins to buy their Frappuccino. At the same time that you have the G20 Indonesia health minister pushing the digital health certificates, as we saw the big worry about things like, international databases of health certificates, is the control of economics attached to that.
Yeah.
And the Indonesia health minister directly compared the health certificate with economics, saying the health certificate will allow economics, allow more control over what economics move, what economics don't move. And then at the same time he's saying that, you have high-level USDC tests, you have consumer-level USDC tests, you've got what's the Prime Minister of England's name?
Sunak.
Sunak. You've got Sunak, who notably, his family is in the business of digital health certificates. And you've got the SBF, the Sam Bankman-Fried collapse here, and his connections to World Economic Forum, his connections to, lots of the democratic establishment. And it just seems like there's a nice conglomeration of a perfect alignment of events in a 1-week period to not just experiment with things, experiment with a global digital ID and economic system, but to literally play it out, to test it out in real time in the real world. And it's really a big deal for us, Gons, because this has been this exact game plan has been a core part of ours and other people's, indie shows' message for almost a decade now, for about 10 years. And to be in the week, we are currently in the week that it's all coming together in the real world, is a really heavy experience. And is it a coincidence? I don't know that it's also the same week we get 3 strikes on our YouTube channel. Who knows? I don't know. But speaking of the SBF thing, do you have an update on that?
I do. I know people are sick of it.
I don't know if people are sick of it, but I think it's important to keep the updates coming.
Yeah. First of all, jingle makers out there.
It's part of the whole thing. It's part of the whole transition into the digital ID economic system.
I told you this was a bigger deal, and it's bringing crypto into politics, the forefront of politics. And, it'll be interesting to see how Trump plays this whole thing, because I don't know that he wants a CBDC in general. He likes the US dollar. So, I don't know how that's going to look, because it does sort of it forces all politicians to take a stance on cryptocurrencies, which is going to happen in the next couple of years. Leading up to 2024, it's going to be really interesting what happens. But yes, Sam Bankman-Fried, quick update. New York Times did a piece on him, and it is, it's, if you need somebody to just clean up the mess a little bit, you go to New York Times if you're connected, a well-connected fella. And the article here is titled, how Sam Bankman-Fried's crypto empire collapsed. And it's an interview with Sam Bankman-Fried, giving exclusives to New York Times. And it says here, in less than a week, the crypto billionaire went from industry leader to industry villain. But in a wide-ranging interview on Sunday that stretched past midnight, he sounded surprisingly calm. Quote, "You would have thought that I'd be getting no sleep right now, and instead I'm getting some," he said. Quote, "It could be worse." Yeah. You know, just a bunch, hundreds of thousands of people's bank accounts pretty much just obliterated. But hey, I'm getting some sleep. It could be worse.
Yeah, allegations of fraud and crime and
I think it's more than allegations. There's quite a bit of evidence.
Sure, no, I'm just saying, he's living in a world where he is a public enemy number one.
Yeah,
as far as a lot of outlets are concerned, and he's sleeping good.
He's sleeping well.
Nice.
Oh, it gets even more infuriating as you go through this article. I got some highlights here. Mr. Bankman-Fried, who is based in the Bahamas, declined to comment on his current location, citing safety concerns. Lawyers for FTX and Mr. Bankman-Fried did not respond to requests for comment on that regard. So, okay, citing safety concerns. Yeah. When you steal people's money, like a lot of people's money, you should be concerned about your safety. Yeah, I'm sorry, but if you're gonna do something like that, yeah, of course. Despite the billions that venture capital firms put into the company FTX, had none of those outside investors on its board. In the Bahamas, Mr. Bankman-Fried led a sometimes cloistered existence surrounded by a small coterie of colleagues, some of whom were in romantic relationships with other FTX employees, according to 4 people familiar with the matter. He and his top lieutenants lived together in a penthouse in Albany, a 600-acre oceanside resort on the island of New Providence in the Bahamas. So you get an idea of, what kind of life he was leading while stealing everybody's money there.
Right.
Continue on. I'm going to skip a bunch of paragraphs here and get to some more stuff towards the bottom. Even as he kept hiring down, Mr. Bankman-Fried built an ambitious philanthropic operation, investing in dozens of other crypto companies, bought stock in the trading firm Robinhood, donated to political campaigns, gave media interviews, and offered Elon Musk billions of dollars to help finance the mogul's Twitter takeover. He's such a good dude. He was even trying to help Elon, which, by the way, is hilarious because Elon Musk came out and said, "Oh, yeah, my BS detector went off as soon as he was talking to him," which is, Elon, for all intents and purposes, is like a true billionaire, like liquid. He can make some phone calls and make billions move for real. Yeah. Sam Bankman-Fried was sort of he had paper billions, but not liquid billions per se. And then Mr. Bankman-Fried said he wished, quote, "we'd bitten off a lot less. The venture stuff was probably not really worth it given the attention that it took," he said, referring to his investments in other companies. Okay, so a little bit of apologies. I'm sorry, which, by the way, was hilarious. People making edits of South Park, the Fed 2008 crash, I'm sorry montage. I don't know if you saw that, Basil. It's pretty funny.
I missed it.
Okay, around the time the crypto market crashed in spring, Mrs. Ellison explained. Mrs. Ellison is I believe she was the, was she the lady from Alameda? Not 100% here. Okay. Anyway, explained lenders moved to recall those loans, the person familiar with me, but the funds that Alameda had spent were no longer easily available, so the company used FTX customer funds to make the payments. Besides her and Mr. Bankman-Fried, she said 2 other people knew about the arrangement, Mr. Singh and Mr. Wang. Okay, now, in the real world, Basil, a company using customer funds to make payments is illegal. Right. But New York Times reports it as like, yeah, he did it. They're not denying that he did it, but it doesn't really imply that it's illegal. It's like, okay, New York Times.
By the way, customer funds in this case, in Sam Bankman-Fried's case, is not just
retail,
like consumer retail investment.
Yeah,
it is Ukraine. The country of Ukraine was receiving billions of dollars from the U.S. taxpayers, and lots of that money was stored in FTX, was stored with Sam Bankman-Fried. So the money that's disappeared from FTX includes money to aid Ukraine that went straight to Ukraine. So the money comes from the taxpayers' wallets, goes to Ukraine, goes from Ukraine into FTX, and then Sam Bankman-Fried makes off with that money. We still don't know where it is, but somehow it's all gone.
Well,
And
he was hacked. Remember, the hacker took it.
Sure. And he's giving a New York Times interview in where they don't even sort of press in on the reality of his crimes. It's a beautiful system we have here.
Oh, I know. Yeah. As FTX has crumbled, Mr. Bankman-Fried has been, quote, working constructively with regulators, bankruptcy officials, and the company to try to do what's best for consumers, he said on Sunday.
Sure.
In the interview, Mr. Bankman-Fried declined to discuss the prospect of prison time. Quote, people can say all the mean things they want about me online, he said. Quote, in the end, what's going to matter to me is what I've done and what I can do. Now, what you've done, Mr. Sam Bankman-Fried, is illegal. I don't understand how New York Times can print this. This is ridiculous. Okay. He has also found other ways to occupy his time in recent days, playing the video game Storybook Brawl, though less than he usually does, he said. Quote, it helps me unwind a bit. He said it clears my mind. Okay, so he's playing video games. I mean, what is going on? Shortly before the interview, this is where it gets really weird, okay? This is the end of the New York Times article. Shortly before the interview, Mr. Bankman-Fried had posted a cryptic tweet, the word what? Then he had tweeted the letter H. Asked to explain, Mr. Bankman-Fried said he planned to post the letter A and then the letter P. Quote, it's going to be more than one word, he said. Quote, I'm making it up as I go. End quote. So he was planning a series of cryptic tweets? Quote, something like that. But why, asks New York Times. Quote, I don't know, he said. Quote, I'm improvising. I think it's time. End quote. End of article. What cryptic message is New York Times sending to some elite lizard person with Sam Bankman-Fried, tweeting out these cryptic things?
During the interview, he is at the same time he's tweeting a strange series of cryptic tweets during the interview.
Yes.
And they notice it and they ask him about it at the end of the interview.
Yes.
And he just kind of sloughs it off. There's no answer.
I'm making it up as I go.
I'm making it up
as I go. Cryptic tweets? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I'm improvising.
And this cryptic tweet is actually getting a lot of attention. Are you going to give us a rundown?
Yes, it is. Yes, okay. Because the what was tweeted out in a series of tweets was the phrase "what" and then HAPPENED, each its own tweet. What happened? It's the name of Hillary Clinton's book, the post 2016 thing. Yeah. So that's weird in itself. It's like, okay, all right.
So it's sort of signaling to Hillary or signaling,
I don't know, or maybe
about
like
Hillary.
Maybe this is him trying to equate this situation to a post Hillary loss in the elections.
Yeah, in conjunction with this, right now trending on Twitter is the word Epsteined, and it's everybody talking about Sam Bankman-Fried getting Epsteined, and everybody pointing out the sort of cycle of Sam Bankman-Fried donates to Democrat Party, and then U.S. tax dollars going to Ukraine, and then Ukraine giving money to Sam Bankman-Fried, and then going around in a circle. That money going back to the Democratic Party, going to Biden, to Ukraine, to Sam Bankman-Fried.
Oh, you mean it's like a laundry machine going in circles? Is that what's
almost? Some people on Twitter are making allegations that Sam Bankman-Fried was part of the Ukraine war laundering scheme. That is such a ludicrous conspiracy theory.
Sure.
But they are worried about his health and well-being.
Oh, yeah.
In regards to being Epsteined.
Okay. I'm glad somebody cares about his safety there. Cryptopolitan.com, SBF clearing his tracks on Twitter, ? Now, this is more of the fringier side of things, although the evidence seems pretty clear to me. So it is a strange series of tweets, but basically, to summarize briefly here, what certain people are suggesting is that there is a bot that counts the number of tweets any account has.
And this is not suggestion. This is the tweet counting bot. And journalists. Yeah. It's mostly used by journalists to see, if any public figures are washing their Twitter account.
Right.
If they're deleting tweets.
They're deleting tweets. Right. So what was happening was Sam Bankman-Fried was indeed deleting a tweet from his past Twitter, postings every time he would post another letter of what happened. And what it does is that the bot counter doesn't move. The ticker doesn't move. So there's probably a window or something where you delete
He's posting a tweet letter by letter for what happened. And as he posts one letter, he's deleting a tweet. We don't know.
Probably something that's incriminating. I think that people have pointed out that it's
evidence.
Yeah, people have pointed out that it's stuff that can incriminate him, which
of course. That would
you
make
can't
sense.
really scrub from the internet. But yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried's one of these guys. He's got his own bot army, on Twitter and stuff.
And he's pulling this maneuver off while he's giving an interview to the New York Times.
It's so weird. He's talking about playing video games. So, okay. So, all right. Everyone's on the hunt. Everyone's on the trail. And it's kind of an interesting development of crypto being really brought front and center in the world stage when it comes to all this, all at the same time as, all the economic stuff happening with the CBDCs. The timing is just amazing. But Brian Armstrong, the co-founder of the biggest crypto exchange in America, anyway, Coinbase, said this on Twitter. He said, Twitter has broken just about every piece of this FTX story using blockchain analytics, while New York Times is writing puff pieces on a criminal. Feels like a turning point for citizen journalism and loss of trust in MSN. The currency of trust, Basil. It is going to be very interesting to watch because what this whole SBF thing and the world of crypto and blockchain and immutable ledgers and trustless systems and decentralization, all these buzzwords, and a CEO, like a crypto CEO coming out and more or less calling New York Times, fake news or whatever. I think what we're seeing is a clear distinction of not just a right-left paradigm or a Republican-Democrat type of thing, but a true class warfare. The class warfare has always been happening in the background, but it was never being brought to the forefront. It's always race. It's always these other topics that sort of take the political messaging. But as crypto moves into the center stage of politics and economics and everything, we are really going to see the battle, the tensions between the economic upper class versus the economic middle class and lower class, everybody else basically. And this story, the SBF story, is sort of the indicator, you can call it, because not only is it going to put a massive strain on the legal apparatus in the United States, the SEC not doing anything when their whole thing is protecting consumers, the mainstream media reporting on it, the New York Times. If Sam Bankman-Fried is just gets to live free, right?
Yeah.
This is clear indication that he belongs to a different class of people they're above the law. They can just do whatever they want. They're children of connected people, and it doesn't matter what they do. They don't pay the price. There's no jail time. There's no whatever.
And goes to bolster the theory that FTX coming in, playing a part in the demolition of a lot of the decentralized infrastructure of crypto and people's easy access to the crypto markets. FTX has been a part of destroying a lot of that, and then FTX itself destroying itself, leaving the crypto infrastructure completely, basically decimated due to unregulation or whatever, however you want to say it, the lack of
regulation, lack of clarity,
lack of government insight, giving the government justification to come in and instigate its own CBDC, connected to health passport. It's the exact power vacuum needed for the government to come in and create a system on the backs of the destruction of everything that Sam Bankman-Fried has allegedly perpetrated. And again, perfect timing with the G20 and the war in Ukraine and everything. So the ways that these things all connect to create sort of the meta view of something that looks like an excellently executed plan for pro-WEF Great Reset purposes. It at least appears that way, even if, it didn't happen on purpose, which would be difficult to make a case for nowadays.
The most, word is not robust.
I'm sorry, hold your thought 1 second, including the destruction of Twitter. They just said that Brian Armstrong, all of this research, the whole Sam Bankman-Fried thing is being done on Twitter by citizen journalists and real investigative people, not the mainstream media. Yeah. So New York Times comes in trying to basically defend Sam Bankman-Fried, or at least not push him on the difficult things. It is Twitter that is bringing this all to light. And, Elon's takeover of Twitter, a lot of people suspect is actually a big ploy to completely destroy Twitter, which would do nothing but empower the mainstream media. If Twitter does eventually get destroyed, who knows? Elon's an erratic business runner anyways, but some people definitely have that thought.
Well, he's also trying to create Twitter into its own economic system, his whole X payment system. So it really truly is, you might just be a Elon guy. Hey, I just do my money on Elon's X thing. I'm a WEF guy. I like all my money going through
which
them.
Ties into the metaverse economic system that we've been talking about for so long. Yeah, it's all coming together, baby.
It's all coming together. Yeah, so there's a lot more to be said, and we'll keep track of it. We do need a Sam Bankman-Fried jingle because criminals on the loose, Basil.
Dun, dun,
He's wanted, dead or alive. Okay.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Let's take a quick break. We're gonna move.
Okay,
we're moving.
Do it.
We're moving. And what are we doing here? Oh, here we go.
We're saying the word moving.
Well, I am moving, just very slowly. Break. This is a break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content.
Take a break.
We all have God-given talents. And one way you can contribute to the show is by contributing that God-given talent by providing content. Providing content. Yeah, don't just consume it, but actually help us build the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. All we ask is that you make it about the show, and we're going to kick it off with audio production.
Audio production.
All right, and we are still going through the Brother G package, and we've got a few more to do today. First off, democracy is none.
Democracy is non-negotiable.
That is true, coming from the progressive bots. It makes sense. Global famine.
This is going to be a global famine. We don't want to cause a panic. We want control.
There's no such thing.
Ooh. Interesting. And then this one's very, very stupid people.
We are led by very, very stupid people.
Well, he's not wrong.
Not wrong. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, Brother G. We're going to continue to go through those. We also have something from Jonathan F. today. It's good to see you, Jonathan F. It's a good episode to chime in because we do need that Sam Bankman-Fried jingle. Maybe Jonathan F. can throw something together. But Jonathan F. gave us this conspiracy talk jingle, or I guess it's a little song.
Yeah, it's
maybe this is how people feel talking to some conspiracy theorists. It's really hard to have a touchstone with his basis of reality, not because it's nothing I haven't heard before, but specifically because it's stuff we have talked about before. And maybe he just needs to listen to the show.
Yeah, the mainstream build their own conspiracies all the time on these issues. Jewish space lasers, black crime, Antifa terrorist false flags, hobbyists auction off what little remains of the world's forest. He's mixing all of this together.
I'm like, it's like a mix between confusion and I feel like I should be insulted, but I'm not. But like a lot of the things you just mentioned, we've actually talked about on the show.
There you go.
Fun. Who is this? Just Jonathan F?
Jonathan F, yeah.
Hey, thanks very much, Jonathan F. Great to hear from you.
Thank you, Jonathan F. All right, let's do some art.
One art, please.
We kick it off with Sir Dove, Knight of Rospeltia.
One art, please, from Dove.
And it comes with a note.
Oh, I was going to say, I think this note, we don't need to read the whole thing.
Oh, we don't?
But no. Here, why don't I take a stab at it? Right. This is from Sir Dove. Peace. For today's artwork, I did a possible mixtape cover for a supply drop of you guys in the alley of the narrow path. And then part of his note is talking about Canary Cry Mixtape Volume 2. Stay tuned, folks. But yes, this is a wonderful contender for Canary Cry Mixtape cover. He says, anyway, here's a possible cover for a future mixtape. Hope you like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for you. And yes, this is excellent. We've got 2 canaries. Now, do you know, is this a sort of a callback or a reference to a well-known album?
I don't know.
It's kind of got that feel.
Like a 90s hip-hop album. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. So, but it's got 2 very hip-hop looking canaries, one with googly eyes, backwards red hat, the other one, of course, wearing glasses, the prayer hands on the hat, says Canary Cry, the THA, the mixtape volume 2. And you've got the listener advisory, extreme cage rattling. This is very good. And of course, we got the NWOFL logo on my hat. You got the prayer hands on your hat. Can you zoom in? What is the logo on that big golden ring there?
Let's see. I think it's the Canary Cry logo. Yeah, it's the Canary Cry logo.
Nice. Furf is saying it's a Run DMC vibe to it. Something like that. Right. Mm-hmm. I love it. This is great, and just in time, because I'm going to start looking into the updates on Canary Cry Mixtape Volume 2, which is a good reminder, folks. If you don't have Volume 1 on cassette yet, go sign up for the Canary Cry Supply Drop. You'll get that as a bonus for all new signer-uppers. Only 2 more weeks, Gons. 2 more weeks before the Supply Drop deadline for the last Supply Drop closes. So go to Canary Cry Supply Drop, sign up.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Thank you, Sir Dove. We also have one from executive producer Sir Darren coming in with artwork as well.
Yes.
Happy Wednesday. I've been inundated with holiday ads, and the propaganda is seeping into my brain. I must fight back. So I made some art for the show. Hope you enjoy these. Have a great day. Sir Darren.
Yes. This is awesome. And he gave us a PS, and we appreciate that. Yes, we've got a series of advertisements, holiday advertisements for, well, a couple of different things. Let's see. You got the Sleepy Chicken lady up there. So this is an ad at the top. It says, spread the joy of value for value this holiday season. And it's got some very mainstream sort of holiday decorations. You've got the 50s housewife showing off her brand new Canary Cry News Talk mixtape volume 1. Says, thanks, Flippy. I just love my Canary Cry mixtape. It's got lots of copy on here. Think outside the cage. Get your supply drop today. Canary Cry News Talk. The teal-haired Basil anime AI girlfriend has a little speech bubble down at the bottom. Let's see. Use promo code ALLGONES for an extra 33% value. Only $33 per month. Canary Cry Party. Oh, and he's got a QR code on here. I wonder.
Yeah, I'm going to try right now. I just pull up my thing here to see if it works. Oh, yeah.
You know
CanaryCryNewsTalk.com. Yep.
Whoa, these are real advertisements that we could use. Okay, I love it. And at the bottom it says, support your value for value or risk. What does it say? Cheesy ads.
Risk more cheesy ads while supplies last.
While supplies last. Thank you very much. And Sir Darren sent us a couple different versions of this. You know, we get to A, B, or C test the different ads. We appreciate it very much. And yeah, what a great This is actually a usable advertisement that can lead people to the supply drop. And technically, that third, we have the ability now with our new payment program to put in codes, promo codes. So we could actually make All Gone's the promo code to get your Canary Cry mixtape as a bonus. All right. This is great. Thank you very much, Sir Darren.
Thank you, Sir
I'm
Darren.
going to look for a way to put these to use.
Yep. Thank you very much. All right. We got some microfictions.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
First one is by Runk Smash.
Flying towards the iron beam cannons, the jetboard pilot silently flashes his ID mark, causing them to stand down. He and his detained human cargo head straight to the 33rd balcony of the High Judgment Hall. They land in the Prime Delivery stall. That is very good, very funny. Thank you very much, Frank Smash.
It leaves me wanting more. What happens next?
So many references. Thanks, Runk Smash.
Thank you, Runk Smash. We also have one from the Sentinel.
The giant sink scorpions come to a slow halt. The three warriors dismount the chariot in front of a small wooden shop. Above the door, a humble sign reads, XXXXOOOO. This is the place.
Epic.
Fun. Dame Gale. Dame Gale is the healer we've been searching for. Thank you very much, the Sentinel. Love it.
Yeah, thank you. And that does it for our very talented producers of Canary Cry News Talk, episode number 561.
And if you are a creative person, if you're a music maker, a jingle maker, a graphic artist, or a writer, whatever you do, create something for the show. Send it in to canarycryradio@gmail.com, and we'll love to feature it on the show.
Welcome to the
Climate change. Metaverse and climate change coming together. What is going on?
How can you even imagine?
I'll show you exactly how it happens. Reuters.com. Tuvalu turns to the metaverse as rising seas threaten existence.
Oh.
Yes. Tuvalu said on Tuesday it plans to build a digital version of itself, replicating islands and landmarks and preserving its history and culture as rising sea levels threaten to submerge the tiny Pacific island nation. Now, they mentioned Tuvalu's foreign minister, Simon Koff, is doing a little video promo to COP27, the climate summit. And I have the video here. I'm going to play the first few seconds because and I'll describe what's happening because it's very dramatic.
In Tuvalu, we are living the realities of climate change.
So it starts off with a tight shot of Simon, what's his name? Simon Coffey is the Minister of Justice, Communications and Foreign Affairs. Sort of a maybe mid-chest and up. He's standing at a podium. You see some of the flags in the background.
And they combine a lot of those ministries. Ministry of
Justice, Communication, and Foreign Affairs. He's the guy, okay? He's the guy.
There's a few different things there, okay?
Yeah, so he's talking, and as you hear him talk, the camera is slowly pulling out from this tight shot from the chest to the top of the head.
In Tuvalu, we are living the realities of climate change, sea level rise, as you stand watching me today at COP26. We cannot wait for speeches when the sea is rising around us all the time. Climate mobility must come to the forefront. We must take bold, alternative action today.
Still zooming out. Fast zoom. Oh, and look at him. He is standing he's speaking at a podium in the water, Basil.
In the water.
The sea levels are rising.
Such a powerful image. Now, it's not that the sea level rose into where his normal podium would be. It's just that they put his podium in the ocean at the beach.
Yes, and it looks the blue screen background looks very familiar, almost like somebody I know who does green screen backgrounds. You know, really low budget. You know, just
sure
makeshift.
Yeah. Now, in case you didn't know, folks, Tuvalu is an island nation halfway between Australia and Hawaii.
Yeah, it's within the British Commonwealth, is how.
Their flag has the British Union Jack British flag up in the corner there. You've got some stars on a blue background, kind of like the both Australian and New Zealand flags, kind of a similar thing there. So they are building a metaverse version of their entire country so that something will survive, that they can keep living there once the ocean swallows them up.
This is the quote. Our land, our ocean, our culture are the most precious assets of our people, and to keep them safe from harm, no matter what happens in the physical world, we will move them to the cloud.
Whoa.
To keep them safe from harm, Basil.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Well, why is he talking like that? He said in a video,
his whole country to the clouds, so when the ocean swallows them up, they'll be okay.
They'll be okay. He said in the video that sees him standing on a digital replica of an inlet threatened by rising sea levels. A digital replica?
So that was...
This does not look digitally enhanced.
Was this, so did the...
Wait a minute.
Maybe it was a blue screen. They put a blue screen...
Well, there is a blue screen behind him.
the blue screen. I don't know if that's a digital
I
replica.
don't think the whole point of this
thing... They just put his podium in the ocean.
That's what it looks like. It can't be digital because they do a whole drone, quick fly up thing, dramatic zoom out.
It still could be digital. Yeah.
It's just funny. I mean, the implications.
To get wrong.
Coffee grabbed global attention last year at COP26 when he addressed the conference standing knee deep in the sea to illustrate how Tuvalu is on the front line of climate change. So this is his shtick. This is his thing.
Oh, this was from last year.
No. This is from this year. He said they're saying he got popular by doing it last year. So maybe this, he's doing it again.
He did the same thing.
Yeah.
Are you sure that just isn't from last year?
I mean, it could be, but.
But the point is, they're making their metaverse nation this year.
Right.
It is kind of it's an interesting statement. We're going to make the metaverse version because we're going to disappear. So when we disappear, it's all on you, except for the technocrats who are preserving our nation in the metaverse. It's as is often the case with a lot of these sort of activism, metaverse comparison. It's almost like the metaverse was given so much attention specifically so that it could be used more as a messaging tool than an actual, economic realm.
I don't understand the logic of if you're a leader of a small nation like this and you're concerned about, hey, I want to preserve culture. I want to preserve the people and da-da-da. Is there something we can do? Well, we can upload you to the cloud. And he's like, that's a good idea.
We can upload your consciousness. Well,
all we need is all your data.
By the time that, by the time the ocean actually does swallow up Tuvalu, remember, they're talking on timelines of like hundreds of years.
Oh, please, no, this is an emergency, Basil. How dare you suggest this is hundreds of years in the making?
In 100 years, when the ocean swallows up the island, then we probably will have the technology to upload the whole country's consciousness up to the metaverse. Yeah. So I think this is very forward thinking. He's a very technocratic fella, this Mr. Coffee.
Well, this also speaks into some of my more fringier theories about, exploring space and how that could be just one big psyop to bring everybody into a kind of a metaverse cloud type of situation where everyone thinks they're exploring out there, but really they're just connected into the matrix like the movie. You're just in a
they
bat
put
of
you
goo.
in a little cryopod.
Yeah. You think
the brain in a jar theory is what you're referring to.
Philosophy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, sounds good. Still don't have my brain in a jar. I
Nope.
think.
Yeah.
I don't think.
You just have a red brain. I don't know why your brain is glowing red, or is that just your hat?
Yes.
Maybe it's just your hat.
It's just a reference there. Great reference for the people just listening to the podcast version. Well,
they can
okay.
imagine it. They have imagination.
All right. Well, anything else for today?
That's it.
Okay.
We're done.
All right. We're done. Well, let's get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Thank you to our executive producers, Sir Darren Knight of the Hungry Panda and Felicia D.
Yes.
You guys keeping this show going. We really appreciate it. And again, the award today goes to the Clippies and the Time Stampers. Let's thank those producers. Thank you, Clippies.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. Here we go. Clippies.
Clipping all those videos. Thanks.
Yep, Emsworth, Faye Liverin, working hard for that Clips channel. That Clips channel was very important to my ability to successfully appeal to our YouTube suspensions. So thank you guys so much. The value you bring is truly incredible.
I know you're...
And so...
Sorry, I just want to ask real quick, because I know you're developing a relationship with the Team YouTube people. When do you think, at what point in the relationship do you think you can slip in a little face like the sun, hey, got a buddy. He's Asian buddy, he's not white.
The Asian hate angle on our suspensions stopped working a while ago, so I'm not sure. Yeah. Don't worry, buddy. I'll be your liaison. And
anyway,
I do wonder. I am curious if YouTube would be technically able to bring back channels that got suspended wrongly.
I'm sure they can.
I wonder, though. I mean, I could see it just being completely deleted, wiped from the servers. So. But if it's just back there somewhere, we should try to get the Face Like the Sun channel back, the Canary Cry radio channel back. I mean, tons and tons of subscribers that never made it to our new channels. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so in conclusion, thank you to the Clippies and thank you to the Time Stampers.
Timestamp. Oh, wow, that's a fail. Timestamp.
Timestamp. It's hard work. Timestamp.
Indeed. Again, another group of tireless producers who get a very special award today. If it was not for the timestamps, literally, we would be gone from YouTube possibly forever now. Having those timestamps, being able to refer directly to the evidence of the erroneous claims of the suspension bots over on YouTube is one of the primary reasons why we are able to appeal so successfully. So thank you to all the timestampers. Thank you to Jackie Yu for doing the timestamps for episode 560.
Thank you, Jackie Yu.
Mm-hmm. Thank you to our social media.
Thanks so much.
Social media, follow us.
Damn Miss G, the OV in the Deep Rivers, making sure the art gets up onto the social media reliably. Thank you very much. Head on over to canarycrymeetups.com.
Canary Cry Meetups.
Have you heard of any new meetups going on?
I have not.
I have not either. Okay, apparently the meetuppers are taking a break for the holidays. But remember, you can put up a meetup anywhere, anytime, no matter who you are. Just let us know where and when, and we'll tell the world when to meet up with you. We do have the Silver Dollar City meetup in Missouri on December 11th. So if you're in that area, make sure to go to the meetup, go to Silver Dollar City, and just know that I'm jealous. I want to go there also. And if you want to put on a meetup, just email us at canarycryradio@gmail.com. Thank you to the reviewers.
This is fun. See you at the meetup.
Yeah, ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts are extremely important in our battle against the algo bots. I want to thank, what is this? How do I pronounce this? MNFF BSH. I don't know how to pronounce it, but this is from Poland. We had a reviewer from Poland come out and leave a rating and a review. Poland been in the news recently. Let's see here. Without hesitation, 5 out of 5. 5 stars. Tired of the same BS information every media keeps telling you? Then you are in the right place, because Basil and Gons will help you keep up with this crazy world. I enjoy every second of each episode. Great energy. The Sentinels, best to the moon and back. Polish friend M. Okay. Poland, baby. That's a good review coming from Poland. We've been talking about Poland recently, even in this episode.
Yeah, see, we got friends in Poland.
See, the Polish. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing now there's even more in Poland. I'll read this one. This is from, see, the Sentinel has friends in Poland. That's what this is. Yeah. The Sentinel's ally from Poland, 5 stars, the best podcast. Do you know what time it is? It's time for Canary Cry News Talk. Highly recommend this podcast to everyone out there. Basil and Gons, a.k.a. Fantastic Duo. Big shout out to all of our Polish listeners.
I've told my Polish interaction story.
Posted. Polish interaction story.
That's so
What could this possibly mean?
I grew up training with a bunch of international swimmers. One of the countries that came to train with us was Poland. A lot of tall dudes over there. And one day I was trying to fix my contact lens in the mirror in the locker room, and this Polish guy, the real tall guy, walked up to me, came real close to my face, and said, "Don't worry, you are pretty." And kept walking. And I was scared. I was scared for the rest of the day. Yeah, no, they're very
Polish
friendly.
love you.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you to all of our Polish listeners. Let's see here. Thank you, Jam, for the links. Thank you to Klinkanifius for giving us our reminders. Very helpful.
It is really helpful. At first, I was like, it's kind of a shtick, but now I'm like, no, we need this guy to
changed the game.
Let us know all the things.
I mentioned, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I mentioned on the show, like, hey, somebody has to remind us of the things we asked to be reminded of. And out of the innumerable people who consume this show, one guy has made it his mission to remind us of the things we ask to be reminded of, even reminding us of things when we don't ask to be reminded of them. And it's incredible. It's a total game changer. So thank you, producer Klinkanifius, for your tireless work. It's really incredible.
It's funny. It's like, what app do you use as a note taking a reminder? It's like, no, we use Klankanophilus.
We have a producer whose sole job is to remind us of things. Yeah. And other than that, folks, just share the show, share it with your friends, share it with your family. I want to give a big shout out again to Sir Darren, Knight of the Hungry Panda, who is such a wonderful producer for so many reasons, but also on Twitter. Look, if you want to know really what would make our dreams come true, go check out Night of the. I think it's just Night of the Hungry Panda is his. It's at Panda Upgrade on Twitter. Is doing exactly what we need. The retweets, the mentions, the likes, the everything Sir Darren is doing on Twitter. If we just had 100 people doing what Sir Darren is doing, it would totally change our game.
We could trend on Twitter. I mean, imagine that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give Sir Darren props for that, but also encourage people, if you want to know what we really long for on Twitter, it's more people like Sir Darren. So might have an official recruitment for a Canary Cry Twitter squadron. We might look into that. So, anyways. Share the show. Share it with your friends, your family, your social media, your circle, your co-workers. Maybe, if you're if you're living on a compound with some religious apocalyptic group, make sure the rest of your, ascension partners know about the show, because it's good to keep up what's going on in the world. Make sure that they know that the mainstream news media does not have their best interests in mind. They are simply profit-seeking corporations. But if you want to find, a new and exciting way to share the show in ways that perhaps it's not been shared before, why don't you go ahead and run for president? That's right. Announce your presidency. Remind everybody of what the world Could be like if you're not the orange man, maybe you're the fuchsia woman. Well, what if the fuchsia woman was in charge of the world? And part of your campaign speech, your campaign platform could be making sure that there is, instead of sending off tax dollars overseas, you send it to podcasts who are doing the difficult work of analyzing and deconstructing the mainstream news. That's just one way that you could do it. You might not win, but I can tell you there's one voting block you would definitely get complete support from, and that is the Canarians, as long as you didn't turn out to be a total weirdo in other ways. But you know what? We're all weirdos around here. But long story short, share the show. We call it Rattling Cages. If you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to them, grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! Don't ever silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gons, any last words?
A couple things. One, I'm going through Sam Bankman-Fried went on a Twitter rampage about an hour ago, so I'm looking at all the things he's talking about there. I guess he's no longer representing FTX, which is not a surprise.
No kidding.
Yeah. He's saying one of the tweets here, in the future I'm going to care less about the dumb and contentless good actor framework. What matters is what you do is actually doing good or bad, not just talking about doing good or using ESG language. It's almost like he got the algos of the sentiment of the public, and he's like, well, I better be anti-ESG, anti-WEF if I want to win the support of the people. Yeah. It's very, very bizarre.
But if you know his background and watch all of his actions, he's basically saying, I don't care what anybody thinks. I did my job like a good boy in helping the World Economic Forum move into the New World Order. Yeah. So message received, Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, and also tomorrow, the 17th, is the 147th anniversary of the founding of the Theosophical Society. So
ooh,
make sure to.
That's a good one. You got that on your Canary Cry calendar, didn't you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I hope everybody signed up to get it. It's going to be a doozy this year.
Yep.
Head on over to canarycrysupplydrop.com. Get your Canary Cry calendar and your bonus mixtape cassette. Go do it. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, dig outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Bye!
I love the Great Reset.
Armageddon's on the way.
Give me a break.
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
When the news of the day gets to feeling like a maze, it's okay, don't be afraid if you don't know what to say. Canary, cry away. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on ahead my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry away. Canary, cry away. Oh, canary. Changing every day, each and every way you turn, there's another thing to learn. Reading in between the lines, thanking Jesus for our lives, and nice to see His glory shining like the sun. Run the race until it's done. Come on, everyone. Canary, cry away. Oh, canary, cry away. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on ahead my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry away.
Goodbye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun. Bye, 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 bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support